You want to talk about a tale of two halves. Ohio State 35, Iowa 7, final score. Ohio State 7, Iowa nothing at halftime. Felt a little weird, not going to lie, but 35-7 is still a pretty good look for the Buckeyes as they move now onto the Oregon Trail. That's Tim May, the 41-year vet. That's Andy Backstrom. I'm Spencer Holbrook. We're here to break down Ohio State 35, Iowa 7. We'll get to Oregon later because the Buckeyes made sure not to overlook Iowa, so neither will we. Tim,
Yep.
A dominant performance throughout, really. Mistakes, costly mistakes in the first half kept this team from putting points on the board. You go into half at 7-0. You come out in the second half, you take care of the football, and good things happen. First thoughts from you from 35-7.
Like one of the questions I asked Ryan Day, I mean, they dominated when they needed to defensively, especially against the run.
Yeah.
That was Iowa's shot, was to come in here and dominate with their run game and then dominate on defense with their run defense. Mm-hmm. They did neither. Ohio State did both. I thought the first drive of the game set the tone for the game.
Yeah.
It's just Ohio State couldn't follow up the rest of the first half. But as I said, Ohio State, Iowa in that first drive, and it went from there. You know, as Will Howard said, he had a really tough finish to the first half, including an interception thrown toward Emeka Egbuka, which was a poor choice. But boy, did he come out in the second half and put on really kind of a Heisman-like performance from
a clinic.
A clinic is exactly the word, and then utilizing Jeremiah Smith. Are you kidding me? Boxing out and catching with one hand. One of the great plays you're ever going to see. Emeka Egbuka making that show hands late catch, which I love. I mean, that's a veteran move. I'm going to write about that later in the week, just the way these guys, when you've got veterans on your team and then you spice it up with a player like Jeremiah Smith, it is tough to stop. And when your quarterback gets back on the beam, which Will Howard did incredibly, I think in the third quarter, like you said, tale of two halves, but really tale of first and second quarter and then third quarter when they just took control.
Andy, Caleb Johnson, 15 carries, 86 yards and a touchdown. 28 of those came on one run, a touchdown run against the second-team Ohio State defense. I know you want to see the second-team defense do better, but it was late in the game. That's a 28-yard run. Take that down off of the board. He's very, very low of his total. He also had another 28-yard run, I believe. Those two runs were non-factors, and Caleb Johnson was a non-factor because of what this defense was able to do against him in this Iowa rushing attack. And then, obviously, you're not going to win with Cade McNamara against this defense. So, really, the defense, I think, probably the story of the afternoon.
Well, welcome back, Tyler Williams, because I think they really missed him, and I think he was really effective in the trenches there against the run. Ty Hamilton also had a really good day. I think he had 5 tackles. He also had a strip sack along with Jack Sawyer, so you have that little local tie there with both of them having such a good performance today. The whole defense, though, really just played, I think, their best. And you go into halftime with the shutout preserved, have the shutout pretty much throughout most of the game until that touchdown you mentioned with Caleb Johnson. But go every level of the defense, I think they all played well. You have the second level, I think Sonny Styles really bounced back after a couple of rough outings. He had 7 tackles, 4 solo tackles, 2 TFLs, and I thought he had a great series at the end of the first half, where he had a TFL where he was lined up right along the line of scrimmage, burst through there for the tackle for loss, also had a tackle on third down, dragging down Caleb Johnson to force another punt. So Sonny Styles bounced back, which is really good to see. There was a lot of the 3 linebacker stuff today. And then in the secondary, they played really well. They held Cade McNamara to under 100 yards passing, which was great.
By the way, last time Cade McNamara played in this stadium for Michigan, 2021, he had under 100 yards rushing, or under 100 yards passing, except Michigan found another way to win. That's really ironic, though. He hadn't topped 100 yards passing in his 2 trips.
Well, overall, again, defense, you got to highlight Davis Nigbinosin as well, right? First ever interception.
How crazy is that? We talk so much. I don't mean to cut you off, Andy, but we talk so much about Davis Nigbinosin, like how good he is, impressed man, being physical, getting up in the face of somebody. No picks? That's just kind of crazy. Go ahead. You're going to go into diatribe here on the defense.
I'm just saying that every single.
Get another word in.
I love it.
Every single level of the defense, you got guys that are making highlight level plays. And going to Oregon, which I'm sure we'll talk about, you needed that confidence boost for every part of the defense. Because going into the week, there were questions about the linebackers. There's questions about the defensive interior. And they answered a lot of those questions today with some key guys bouncing back.
And they're going to give up plays at Oregon because Oregon is really good on offense. I mean, they're going to give up some plays. The question is, how many scoring plays do you give up? We'll get into that, I'm sure, as the week goes on. But Caleb Downs right out of the gate made a couple of plays. He kind of announced himself being there. They had him playing up close a lot, in this game, or at least early. Then the next thing you know, he's back in center field like Malik Hooker, just kind of hanging out and stuff. And I thought it was a great defensive, not just plan, but physically, you got to go out and make it happen. And like you said, I thought it started with the TNT, Tyleek Williams and Ty Hamilton in the middle, because I thought they played a stellar game.
Listen, guys, I'm just gonna. We do this live. It's kind of how the sausage is made. Vanderbilt just beat Alabama. I just got the text. I know you guys already know that, but like all the times where you can have a letdown or a look ahead, this team's getting ready to go out to Eugene, Oregon and play a top 10 game. And guess what? Came in here and took care of business. I think you should be pretty happy with 35-7 win.
Wait a minute. But it also tells you, like your grandma who used to knit, you better keep your eye on your knitting.
Yeah.
I mean, Alabama, I'm telling you, I grew up an Alabama fan, don't care that much anymore. My baby brother, who's 66, is a huge Alabama fan. I guarantee you, he's probably crying right now. This should not have happened. Well, Alabama has been so weird, but it just shows you, like you just pointed out. I'm going to write about this with Emeka Egbuka talking about it. This team did a great job, and that's what you're talking about, of keeping its eye on its knitting today.
Eye on Owa. It kept its eye on. Yeah, okay. Well, I tried. I hope there's Alabama fans crying. That's hilarious. Anyway,
it is.
Back to
I know
Ohio.
My brother is, so there's one.
But we cover Ohio State. Back to Ohio State. I was so impressed with Sonny Styles today. 2, not bad, but just like under expectations performances. Comes out. I picked him as my defensive player of the game. That's not why I'm talking about him, but it is, kind of cool.
Last Monday, you guys were both talking about him being a little underwhelming.
Yeah, and he comes out.
Exactly.
He comes out, sticks his nose where it needs to be. Yeah. He reads, reacts, he shoots to the ball. That's what this defense did.
Oh, man.
And I think that's so critical moving forward, because I am going to spin it forward a little bit. When they saw what they needed to see, they went. And I don't know if we've seen that as much in the first half. They looked a little tentative in first halves the last couple of weeks. Yeah. They just shot their guns. And that you shoot from the hip when you're tackling. The linebackers were doing that. They were reading, reacting. The secondary was breaking on the ball. The only reason that Denzel Burke gave up that 10-yard cushion on the curl route for a first down, he slipped. Because he was breaking on that thing, and he might have took it back for 6. He slipped. So I know the cushion thing is interesting. I'm just so impressed with this defense because they were dominant, truly, truly dominant. You wanted pass rush, you got pass rush tonight. You wanted the secondary to get their hands on some footballs, they did it. You wanted better linebacker play, they did it. I understand Iowa's offense is not, we're not talking about the greatest show on turf, but also this is a great running attack.
Or grass.
Yeah, this is a great rushing attack. Ohio State completely neutralized it. Cade McNamara, veteran quarterback, Ohio State made him look like a freshman. He collapsed in the pocket. He fumbled the football. Ohio State's pass rush got to him. Again, I'm not going to anoint Iowa as anything. I just think that it is very noteworthy heading into next week. You've got to build some confidence, and that's exactly what this Ohio State team did. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, let Andy go, Tim. We got to even this thing up a little bit.
Well, I did talk a lot at the beginning.
He's been talking all day.
All right,
that's right.
Tim, go ahead.
No. Well, I mean, if people sense a little bit of excitement in our voices, I mean, we saw some incredible stuff last week in that night game. We saw some incredible stuff again today. You might be about to talk about it, Andy, but it's cool covering this game right now, covering this team right now, because they're really good on defense. I said going into this game, I thought Ohio State had the better defense. Forget about offense. And I think it proved to be that way because when they really need to shut them down, they did that. And then, you can talk about Jeremiah Smith till the cows come home. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's spectacular. And I think the rushing offense, though, we need to highlight that as well because they ran for more than 200 yards today.
On Iowa,
which, again, was a talking point going into this game.
61 yards a game coming in.
Yeah, going into the season, we kind of were looking at the schedule like, okay, well, if they run on Akron and Western Michigan and Marshall and maybe even Michigan State, how much do we know about this rushing offense? Yeah. Well, this was a big test, and they passed it again. Yeah, there wasn't the big splash play. There wasn't the long Travion Henderson touchdown or the long Quinshon Judkins touchdown, but they both were effective today in the run game. Will Howard ran it for 10 times, which is noteworthy because they've been building that up week by week. And he also scored a rushing touchdown for the fourth game in a row. So really, I think that's impressive going into this Oregon game that that this rushing offense is working against anyone they've faced so far.
Did Will end up with 10 carries? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it's 10 carries.
I think he had 3 guys with 10 carries. Forget about catches,
Look.
That's a great balance situation.
You want to talk about a man with a plan. Chip Kelly comes in, and Iowa's got the 4th-ranked run defense in the country. Yeah. Giving up, like you said, Tim, they're giving up 62 yards a game on the ground. And Ohio State topped that almost on its first drive. Chip Kelly said, I don't care what the stats say. You're not going to stop us, and we're going to establish the run. Donovan Jackson, I thought, had a great day. Funny little anecdote here. The play where Will Howard and Quinshon Judkins, I believe, had the bad exchange, and Will Howard just had to fall on it in the backfield in the third quarter, that was only like a 2-second play, and Donovan Jackson pancaked a pretty darn good defensive tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, just put him in a grave. And, like, that is the kind of stuff we just did not see from this offensive line last year.
Yeah.
That is so indicative of the attitude of this team. And, like, this run game moved people. And again, it doesn't really seem like it, but not every game is going to be Western Michigan where you're going 78 yards and you're going, through the open field, bursting through safeties. Sometimes you got to chip away, especially in this league.
Dude, last week,
and
first half.
they did it. They just kept hammering Iowa in the run game.
Last week, first half against Michigan State, Ohio State's first 2 drives were like, who are we covering? You know what I mean? I mean, they were extended, long, fruitful drives. This week, they come right out of the gate. I forgot how many yards it was. But drove right down the field. That was huge to establish yourself.
It was 75, but I think 55 was on the ground in that first drive.
Yeah.
Which is just impressive.
What they wanted to do was you want to take, it's like boxing, you want to take the other guy, his best deal, you want to hit him with body blows, and now all of a sudden then you can hit him over the top or whatever you want to call it. But that was the most impressive thing is Ohio State came in clearly with a plan to do that and then did it. Now, could they have scored a couple more times in the first half? The opportunities, but the turnovers hurt them really bad, stifled them. But at one point, I thought there was a chance that Iowa might get only 3 possessions in the first half. That's how dominant Ohio State was in playing keep away against this team that likes to play keep away against you.
Yeah, and then Andy, you get to the run game. It's like, okay, they're gashing us with the run, and then they just throw it over your head. And it wasn't really over people's head, but the play that did kind of spark everything was the Will Howard 53 yards to Jeremiah Smith. He then goes up with one hand and makes a school child out of a Division I Big Ten cornerback on the one-handed catch to kind of flip everything. That was 14-0.
Well, I got a comment about that when you get to your end of your point.
The very next play, on the other side, Caden McNamara strip sack by Jack Sawyer, who was incredible tonight, and then they score again. And this team did one of those classic C.J. Stroud offense things where they scored 14 points in under 2 minutes and you're out of the game. And it's just super
great
impressive.
Combo offense, defense.
Yeah, the way that this passing attack complemented tonight the running game. The first time I think this year that you thought the passing game complemented what the run game did instead of the run game being the complement to Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, I mean, I think the run game's been there, and I think they're playing off of that.
I agree.
But again, look, bottom line with this game, right? Ohio State turns the ball over twice. Iowa doesn't score any points off those turnovers. Iowa turns the ball over 3 times. Ohio State scores 3 touchdowns off those turnovers. Yeah. You're going to win a lot of games when you're scoring points off of every turnover that you force, and they're not scoring points off of your turnovers. So that was the difference in this one. But overall, like, guys stepped up throughout. Offense, defense, special teams. I want to highlight Bryson Rogers comes in. No Carnell Tate today.
No Carnell Tate.
Moves the chains on a tough 3rd and long at the beginning of the game. You have Brandon Innes converted a 4th and 3. Looked like an RPO.
Ball right there.
Yep. Howard hit him. He makes the catch there. So some wide receivers, the underclassmen in their second years, stepping up without their classmate Carnell Tate in the game.
Yeah, they were verified, so to speak, or certified. I didn't want to, what I said, I wanted to follow one quick thing. I got a couple of texts from a couple of buddies who, for some reason or other, don't like Will Howard. So they criticized the fact he didn't lay the ball out there for Jeremiah Smith to act so he could score on that long pass. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It gets it to the 4-yard line. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you would have been robbed of one of the great catches in Ohio State history. What was that, 1 or 2 plays later? The next play. Jeremiah Smith gets man-to-man coverage in the corner. Of course, Will Howard lobs it up to him. That corner was all over him, holding him and everything. And finally, at the last minute, here's Jeremiah Smith.
Watch the mic here, Tim.
I am. Here's Jeremiah Smith pushing him in one-hand catch.
Yeah.
One of the great moments, just like Igbenogson on his interception. The ball had been tipped. He shoved the guy out of the way, makes an interception, takes off. I mean, when you're playing that physical, even as a receiver, or as a corner, you can go places with that kind of ball playing, but that was one of the great catches you're going to see in Ohio State history right there, and it wouldn't have happened if, in fact, Will had thrown it way out there. Or as they say, thrown it downtown.
Silver linings and everything.
He still threw it like 50 yards in the air. 55.
A couple more notes here. Iowa misses a field goal. I think Ohio State's defense officially, when there's some bleeding, I think it's like a nosebleed. It's easy to cut it off because they give up some plays. You feel like they're getting gashed a little bit, even by Iowa in the passing game a little bit with these tight ends, and then they get a quick stop, and then you take your chances with the college kicker at 51 yards. That's a good sign for this Ohio State team. Maybe Oregon won't miss field goals, but maybe they will. So forcing field goals, again, very good thing. And then, just like you said, the receiver production. There's a couple other things I wanted to highlight, and I don't think we'll get to all of them because your mind's kind of racing at this point. Just a quality.
Here's what you got to get to. In 5 games, Ohio State's given up
34
points.
Yeah,
that's outstanding.
Quality win before the Buckeyes hit the dusty trail out to Oregon. I think we're good. We're good.
We'll be talking on Monday.
They're taking a plane, but that's just me.
We're going to get back in here on Monday to talk about this game, the Monday after. Ohio State 35, Iowa 7. And then we'll get on out to Eugene, Oregon. It's going to be awesome. This week is going to be an absolute blast. We've got so much coverage coming. The dudes over at Scoop Duck on the left coast are going to be hanging out with us a lot this week. Come to the Lettermen Lounge message board. They're going to do a board takeover, talk some Oregon. At some point this week, we'll let you guys know when that is. We've got defensive notebook coming out. We've got report card from Andy. We've got a column from Tim. We've got recruiting stuff as Ohio State goes out to Oregon. I know that this one's fresh, and you should be celebrating this one, however you choose to celebrate, but huge week ahead at LettermenRow.com. We're really excited for all the coverage from Tim May, the 41-year vet, from Andy Baxter and me, Spencer Holbrook, and all those guys on the recruiting side who work so hard to talk to the teens. For now, we're going to go right about this one. Ohio State 35, Iowa 7. We'll see you guys over at LettermenRow.com. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll see you guys over at LettermenRow.com. We'll see you back in this beautiful horseshoe on Monday for the Monday after.